welcome, Mr. Witness.
Thank you.
Good morning, audience. Good morning, viewers out there. We're happy to welcome our witness for continuation of proceedings. Chair, the floor is yours. And then, before I proceed, may I remind you once again that you are still on the oath. Chair, the floor is yours.
Good morning, Mr. Trawale. Welcome back.
Morning, thank you.
Yes, we may proceed now. Council.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning, Commissioners. Mr. Trawale.
Thank you.
I would like to start with the audit report for Brikama Area Council.
For which year?
For the year ended 31st December 2019. Chairperson, this is Exhibit ARBAC 001.
And you're having only one copy, right?
Yes.
You're having, oh, wow. I don't know, why is my laptop trying to fail?
Mr. Trawale, can you please speak up? I'm not hearing what you're saying.
Oh, no, I'm talking to the lead counsel, whereas he's having only one copy. My laptop just behaving funny. I don't just know why. If you stop, come on.
It's the registrar.
But I mean. Yes, please, if you can.
Council?
Yes, Chairperson. I think alternatively, I could give the exhibit to the witness and then just refer him to the pages, and then he can run us through the issues that are on the pages, since I won't have one to refer to. So I'm handing the witness the exhibit ARBAC 001. You have the document?
Yes.
Okay. This is, I believe, the first adverse opinion that I have seen in respect of the reports that were provided by your office.
Okay.
Can you just tell us about the adverse opinion and how come you gave one for this council?
Yes, I know it's not, well, for 2019, you know, okay, you are right for the council, but there are other adverse opinions. The difference between the adverse opinion and disclaimer of opinion is that because I know the previous ones we were talking about disclaimer and so now I think to answer the question it would be the disclaimer and adverse. Disclaimer is like you don't know because you don't have enough information. You have the figures, you cannot verify them. Like for example, KMC, the audit trail wasn't available, the system was locked. You have figures deleted and then you are not able to, then the auditors are saying, we don't know what happened, based on that, we cannot express an opinion. But in this case, that wasn't the issue. The figures are there, you're able to verify them, but they are not correctly treated. Then you said these are not true and fair. So that's the difference. They are all negative, but adverse is better. You are able to, at least the documentations and all these things are provided to you. You are able to navigate, and then you conclude that, okay, you have submitted all this, we've reviewed, but they are not true and fair. But the other one, you are like, we are limited. The informations are not sufficient enough. The system, we cannot navigate the system. This figure that you brought, we cannot, verify because we are limited. Based on that, we cannot express an opinion on it. But they are all negative opinions.
Okay. So can you, oh sorry, you had a question? Oh, thank you.
You can proceed.
Thank you. Can you run us through the reasons, as per your report, for the adverse opinion, the basis for the adverse opinion?
Yeah, I think my listen should come now.
Okay.
Council, maybe we, may you clarify, is it Brikama Area Council that we are dealing with?
Oh yes, I apologize. Brikama Area Council,
okay.
For the year ended 31st December 2019.
May I ask whether there is no report for 2018?
We do not have one for 2018. Let me confirm.
Yes. Can you find out from the witness whether there was any audit done for 2018? Thank you.
There's a management letter for 2018, but I believe, as the witness had pointed out, as at that time there were no financial statements, so there was no audit report. There was only the management letters for 2018. But we have the management letter for 2018. That is ARBAC 002.
Okay.
Yes.
Then would you deal with the management after the audit, the management letter?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So, you want me to proceed?
Yes, please.
Yes. Adverse opinion. just as I rightly said, this is just to say the accounts are not true and fair, and the no much difference between it and the disclaimer, because for me, if you give me adverse opinion, I may even prefer that than giving me a disclaimer, because adverse I'm able to verify the figures and the treatments, but disclaimer is like I'm limited. I don't know the magnitude of the omission. So they are all negative reports, but I think, but that's just at personal level. I would say I prefer to be given adverse than auditors saying a disclaimer, but that's just at personal level. Basis for adverse opinion, the general ledger accounts presented had no names. We could not therefore trace or to the trial balance. The general ledger, because this one should guide you, the postings, the balances. This is the rates, this is the trade lancing, this is from this board. Those account names were missing, so the auditors cannot verify the sources of those figures. Misclassification. Expenditure amounting to 15,380,000, representing the current, but were only classified as capital expenditure. That was also about 15 million. There are treatment expenditure lines that were classified as capital expenditures when they are recurrent in nature. That's misclassification from postings. On presented deposit slip, deposits amounting to 44 million and 29,746.76 were posted to the cash book, but the evidence of the deposit was not presented for review. These were recorded in the cash book, but there was no evidence that they have been deposited at the bank. On presented payment vouchers, supporting document for payment vouchers amounting to 1,364,412.66 processed during the period under review have not been presented for review. Trial balance, there was a deficit current asset balance of 618,215.71 in the trial balance, which was significantly different. The report current asset balance of 3,003,539 in the balance sheet. Then a variant of 3,621,755, and management did not address the issue until the finalization of the report. Long-term liabilities were listed as a negative number in the trial balance of 2,332,725. The component long-term liability was not present in the balance sheet. Bank overdraft of 3,621,755.50 was reported in the balance sheet, but not in the trial balance. Accumulated funds has been reported as a negative number, minus 2,711,149, later revised to minus 2,332,735 in the face of the statement on the balance sheet. No reason was given. Capital expenditure of 8,621,167.48 listed in the trial balance is a combination of different capital expenditure accounts which cannot be seen in the trial balance. Financial statement. The accumulated funds shows a negative balance of 2,711,149 on the face of the financial position. These were some of the reasons, wrong treatment, that made the auditors to come up with a conclusion that the financial statement for the period 2019 was not true and fair.
You have read through and you've brought up the issue of some payments being in the balance sheet and not in the trial balance, or the other way around. Can you tell us what the relationship between the balance sheet and the trial balance is?
Yes, you know, balance sheet is among the financial statement is a general financial statement comprised of income and expenditure. balance sheet. Income and expenditure, that's where you record your revenue and expenditures. Balance sheet is where you record your assets and liabilities. If it is other institutions, depending on your policy, you have the cash flow statement. But for the councils, because they are operating on a cash basis, cash flow statement is not very relevant, it's not required. Sure, it's just the income and expenditure and the balance sheet. The balance sheet is where you have the assets and liabilities. For councils, according to their manuals, their assets are the bank balances, the receivable, that's the debtors, and then the bank, and then the actual cash. And then their assets, the physical assets, let's say the fixed assets, motor vehicles and the likes, those ones are not recognized in their finance, in their balance sheet. Instead, you have a fixed asset register. But this is just according to their manual. So the combination of the balance sheet is some of the set of financial statements to be produced. Then, this income and expenditure or the balance sheet, for you to prepare it, is just a matter of taking it from these records, source document, let's say from the cash book, the general ledgers, and the trial balance. The trial balance is this just the balances. If you set assets, they are in this. They are the debit side with their amount. Liabilities at this side. Bank balance at this side. So the trial balance is just the accounts and their balances and their entry. So if you are preparing your financial statement, that is the source of information that you use to build your your balance sheet, your financial statement. It's like it's the source document where you just pick and then fix it in your balance sheet. So at least there should be that direct relationship.
Thank you.
May I ask a follow-up question
yes,
there?
Of course.
If you say that the adverse findings for the Brikama Area Council is as a result of the presented documents, what is the effect of the wrong input of postings in the ledger? What is the effect of that?
Can you say that again?
What is the effect of wrongly posting data into the ledger?
Well, it will not be balanced because you know in accounting is like in the ledgers. Each and every transactions, in recording transactions, you have to follow the principles. You have to follow the principles. You either get it right or you get it wrong. If you don't follow the principles, you record it at a place where it is not supposed to, you can never get it. It will wait for you in time of preparing your financial statement. Your financial statement will never balance the figures, there will be variances and you will not be able to explain. So at the end, your financial statement will never balance and then it will end up leading to untrue and fair. What I'm trying to say, any transaction, any single transaction from day one, there is a place where it should be recorded. So ledgers, you don't even start with ledgers. Even before the ledgers, there are other books that you need to be recording correctly. At the end of the day, you took those balances and then transfer them to the ledgers. So if you put those balances, record those balances in the ledgers wrongly, because you also use those balances in the ledgers to build your financial statement. So if those records in the ledgers are recorded wrongly, then it will have an impact because it's like you are taking a wrong figure or a wrong treatment into the financial statement. So at the end of the day, when you just build your financial statement, you will be like, you know, people will ask you questions and it will not balance and then you will not even be able to explain.
Now, what is the quantum of wrong entry when it comes to the financial statements of the council in Brikama?
You say what is the
quantum of the wrong inputs into the ledger?
When you come to the, I don't know, maybe the approach, yeah, but I understand. Because for us, you know, as I said, audit is based on sampling. And then we look at the omissions, the wrong misclass, the wrong postings, the overstatement, and then we will look at the how significant. This one, is it just one portion? There are certain wrong postings or certain omissions. They have an impact on almost all the balances in the financial statement. That's what you call is material and pervasive. You might have certain issues.
Yes, sorry to interrupt you. So, in fact, you are getting there. My question is bordered around that. Whether it was pervasive or whether it was, you understand, not too significant.
It was.
Because my question is leading me to another question, which is to say, was it because of the incompetence or the lack of experience of the finance person for that to have happened in terms of what we see in the documents?
It's pervasive in the sense that because all the various codes are recorded in the ledgers, and then those are the balances that you need to build your financial statement. So if there is issue on that source document, so it is pervasive. It will affect all the balances that you need to build your financial statement. And then again, to say whether it's the incompetency of the finance directors or whatever, I don't like to personalize issues, but just to say, because it's the responsibility of the management of the Brikama Area Council to prepare and submit a true and fair, a financial statement that will show a true and fair view. So it's the responsibility of the management as a whole. The CEO, the finance director, they have a management team. So that's why you don't just, because it's the responsibility of the management to make sure that the finance director or whoever is responsible does whatever he or she is supposed to do, and then as far as we are concerned is the management of Brikama Area Council.
Thank you. Council.
Thank you. Can I refer you to the management letter for Brikama Area Council? I believe page 3 of the management letter, which deals with the weak governance structure.
Okay. Page 3, right?
Page 3.
Yes. Weak governance structure, yes.
Yes. And in your finding, you stated that your audit established that a general council exists, headed by the chairman, as required by the Act, and that it is comprised of 11 subcommittees, each tasked with an area of responsibility. And your assessment is that some of the committees have not been functional. Then you specifically spoke of the finance subcommittee, and that none of the members of the subcommittee has a finance background.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what the implication of this would be in terms of carrying out any duties that relate to financial advisory matters?
Yes, this is from their regulation, which we have cited above. And then during our assessment, we reviewed that some of the committees have not been functional. We did not also find evidence to suggest that the selection of the subcommittees was informed by a position of skills or requisites. And then, for example, none of the members of the finance subcommittee has any finance background, and all of the instituted subcommittees, only the market subcommittee submitted minutes for our review during the audit. The chairman confirmed that the proposed inclusion of the non-council co-opted members with relevant skill has not yet materialized, citing lack of quorum to make such decisions. What happened was the councillors, the chairperson and the councillors serve as an oversight on management. Management is the CEO, his finance directors, and his directors. So the chairman and the councillors serve as an oversight. So in doing that, according to the Local Government Act, there must be subcommittees, finance, establishment, and whatever, education, agriculture, and etc. So in finance committee, we look at the composition of the finance committee, for example, but there is nobody there with a finance background. And then if you have a finance committee, because usually they should even help the management on these audit reports. You know, they should even put pressure on the management. This treatment, we should make sure that before the next audit, this action is taken, these things are implemented. They should be giving that oversight to the management. But if you don't have anybody with a background, finance background, then that can affect the effectiveness of the committee. Then the chairman, because if we are at the council, we give opportunity to everybody. even the councillors, the chairperson. Then our interaction with the chairman, he said they are aware of this and they want to co-opt some people with finance background, but they don't have the quorum to take that decision. And management responded. Management said, as per ministerial directive dated January 2020, subcommittees are required to hold a maximum number of 2 sittings in a month. Likewise, the General Council is duly adhering to Section 28(1) of the Local Government Act 2002 by convening a general sitting at least once every month. A well-established criteria is fundamental to the effective functioning of the subcommittee. We will co-opt members whose contributions are deemed necessary in line with the Section 34 of the Local Government Act 2002. These measures will ensure the effective operation of the subcommittees. This was their response, and then action to be taken is the inclusion of co-opted members. It's like they are agreeing, and then they are agreeing that they will make sure that at least some people are co-opted into finance committee to give support to them.
Are you able to remember whether the director of finance was part of that committee? The finance subcommittee.
I can't remember, but you know the director of finance is part of the management.
Yes, but
responsible. Yeah, so this is an oversight institution. Maybe
I believe the act also requires that the director of finance be on that committee, which is why I'm trying to find out whether you recall that he was part of that committee at all, or was it just, for your audit purposes, was it just the councillors that you looked at?
Yes, I know if the audit team, the name submitted to the audit team, if the director of finance is there, I believe the audit team will not say there is no member in that committee without a finance background.
Unless the director doesn't actually have finance qualifications.
And I know the director has a finance background, at least.
Okay. Thank you. Let me refer you to pages 10 and 11. In respect of the improper payment voucher filling, can you run us through that?
Improper payment voucher
filling.
filing.
I'm not sure if it's filing or filling.
Oh, maybe it should be filing. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Can you take us through that, please?
Yeah, during our review of the sample payment, we noted the following irregularities. Payment vouchers were not filed chronologically, causing problem for tracing our sample to the voucher file. Most vouchers from our sample were missing from the voucher files and were therefore not tested. We could not find any traceable reference between the voucher entries in the cash book and the related physical payment voucher. What happened was, vouchers should be, this is a regulation, if you raise any payment voucher, they should be numbered and they should be dated and filed according to their numbers. Let's say payment voucher 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But according to the auditors, they were not filed in that way, which makes it difficult for them to trace, because you don't check each and every all the vouchers. You will just run a sample and then you ask for the vouchers randomly. So if vouchers are not filed accordingly, then there is high chances that some of the vouchers might not be traced, and that what happened. And then they say most of the vouchers were missing. It's like the request they sent, I need voucher number 10, 5, 8, 7. Most of them were not submitted to the audit team for them to be able to conduct their testing. So, and then the implication is that there is a risk that such payments may not be accounted for in the book, since they are not received and reviewed. Such payments may not be bona fide payments charged to the council. And management response, the visit by the audit team coincided with the visit of GPPA, compliance review team. Therefore, all vouchers could not be readily available to both teams and at the same time. The vouchers are traced as stated in Annex 1. These vouchers are available for your inspection. And the auditors further comment, contrary to the management response, only a few payment vouchers have been presented to us with the response. This reduced the total unpresented vouchers from 1,613,021.54 to 1,036,412. The revised table is shown below. So these vouchers, most of them were not seen, and then the management said yes, it coincided with the GPPA's audit, and then that's why most of these vouchers were not provided. But the auditors are saying after that only few vouchers were submitted, later submitted, and they review. So the figure for unpresented voucher reduced from 1.6 million to 1,036,000.
Thank you. And the payments listed in Annex 1 are the missing payment vouchers?
Yes, yes.
But in these cases, so the payment voucher numbers and the details are recorded somewhere,
yes,
even though the vouchers themselves are not there. Where are they recorded?
They should be recorded in the cash book. You can see, because that means they've seen that recorded in the cash book. That's why they were able to give them those numbers. But the physical payment voucher is what has not been submitted.
Okay. I refer you to page 19. There's a finding that the treasurers are using the GTRs to collect trade license.
Page 19, right?
19, yes.
Yes.
And you have said that the implication is that there's a risk that the used GTRs might not be accounted.
Treasurers GTR used for collecting trade license?
Yes. And yes, the implication is that there's a risk that the used GTRs might not be accounted for. Can you explain what you mean?
Yeah, it said examination of revenue administration revealed that GTR books that are intended for treasurers' use only were used for collecting trade licenses. The risk is there is a risk that the GTRs might not be accounted for, and then the response, we acknowledge the risks associated with your finding. Due to scarcity of trade license receipt book, we resort to use of Treasury GTR to ensure the continuity of revenue collection in order to meet our operational and recurrent costs. What happened was the Treasurer's GTR, that is for the Treasurer. When the Treasurer doesn't go to do collections at the market, when collectors go collect, they pay to the Treasurer for banking and then for safekeeping. So in this case, that GTR, that receipt was used to make the collection. So a wrong book was used to do the collections. So that's what the auditors are flagging. And then they said because the GTR that's supposed to be used for that collection was not available, so that's why they used this other one, the wrong one. And then the auditors further comment, the choice of carrying on with this practice, even after acknowledgement of associated risks, indicates management indifference to the risks of material misstatement to council resources. Is clearly not acceptable. We also disagree to the motivation advanced by management for its decision to use treasurer's receipt for lancing collection as being scarcity. Evidence available to us revealed that normal GTRs were in adequate supply and being used by all but one collector in the collection of lancing. The unexplained choice of allocating the treasurer receipts to a particular collector raised further questions about management motives. The response did not address how management intend to resolve the internal control circumvention as such a practice may operate even within a digitalized environment. The auditor's further comment was like they confirmed that at the time there were enough receipt books for that collection, and this particular treasury receipt book was not even issued to all the collectors but was issued to a particular collector. So they are just saying then that explanation doesn't address the issue.
So are you saying that somebody, because you said the unexplained choice of allocating the treasurer's receipt to a particular collector raises further questions about management motives.
Yes.
Is this because it is the director of finance that allocates the books to the collectors?
Yeah, if you look at the officer responsible for remedial action, or the officer, they said director of finance. The report is not saying the director of finance, but we said management. We said management. So, yeah.
All right. Further down on that page, there's an issue of $11,999,476, which could not be found in the postings made in the system. Does this mean that payments were actually received and could not be traced, or what does it mean?
Yeah, receipts not posted in the system. The following receipts amounting to 11,999,476 found in the main cashier's cash book, but could not be found in the postings made in the system. Because, you know, when they enter this thing in the cash book, they also input them in their system, in their accounting system.
Okay.
But they found this amount in the cash book, but they are not recorded in the system. Because when they are preparing their financial statement, they take their details, everything from that system. So if this is recorded manually, but it's not inputted in the system, that can lead to a risk. So the risk there is a risk that the amount in question are not accounted for and may in effect result in understatement of revenue. And then the management response, contrary to your finding, the highlighted receipts were all duly posted in the system. And the auditors further comment, a system record provided with the management response now reflect the postings. This is then now corrected. We would, however, like to highlight the fact that the version presented now was different to the version submitted during the audit fieldwork, and the latter did not contain the entries in question. So the management is saying they are entered, recorded in the system, posted in the system, and the auditors later saying yes, it was later posted in the system, but the version and the revised one were different.
The version of what? The postings or the cash balance?
This then now corrected. We would, however, like to highlight the fact that the version presented now was different to the, I think the system, you know, when they print the printout from the system, they said the version and then the previous version were different. I think it has to do with the headings and then the codes and the like. They said there is different in the versions. But it was later posted in the system.
So in a situation like this, where the amounts have been put in the cash book or the receipt book, and it's not in the system, is it possible that the amounts have not been banked?
Yes, maybe in this case they're not talking about banking. In fact, they're talking about how to account for it. It's just like I go and collect money, but any collections made, I have to record it in the cash book. And then even if I bank, but the bank deposit and all those details also need to be recorded in the system. Because I need that system to prepare my financial statement. If anybody need any information, I'm going to get all the information from the system. Right? Meaning, whatever is recorded manually and in the system should tally. It's just like you have it in the system and then you record it manually as well. Then I found it in my manual records, but it's not in the system. So that is the query. So now the substance, they are not saying it has not been banked, but they don't know why it is not in there. And then if you get this printout from the system, in the cash book you can see it. But if you print this report from the system, it is understated by that amount, meaning they are not matching, they are not reconciling. So that's what they say. So they said after it was posted there, but when they printed, at least the formatting and then the versions, they are not the same.
Okay. Further on page 21, there are unpresented deposit slips in the amount of $60,613,728.50 butut. You're saying that it's seen to be posted in the cash book, but there are no deposit slips to confirm if the amounts were actually banked. Can you explain this to us?
Yes, during the audit, 60,613,728 is seen to be posted in the cash book, but there was no deposit slip present to confirm if these amounts were banked. You know, if you collect money, the receipts, and you record it in the cash book. But again, it's either way, most of the time, because like the best practice will be you collect money, you go and deposit. In fact, instead of bringing the physical cash to the council, you go and deposit, and then the deposit slip, that's what you will bring to the cashier or whoever to show that, okay, this amount has been collected and banked, and that deposit slip now will be recorded in the cash book. But what they're saying is a receipt was recorded in the cash book, but there was no evidence that the money has been banked to the bank. Because deposit slips should serve as an evidence that the amount collected has been banked, but that wasn't the case in this. You see the amount recorded, but there is no evidence that it has been banked. So, yeah.
Sorry, before you proceed on that one, given the fact that you've seen the receipt book, did you reconcile that with the bank statement to cross-check whether, you know, it was also not in the bank statement that they issued to you for review?
Unfortunately, these are regulations, and regulations, there are procedures. From this step, you collect with this, you confirm with this. So auditors, we just look at the procedures. If an amount is collected, it needs to be deposited. You bring the deposit slip, enter it in the bank statement, in the cash book, and then at the end of, because bank statements are at the end of, these are done at the end of every month for your reconciliation also. So if the regulation is saying you collect it, record it in the cash book, because these are daily activities. You record it in the cash book with the deposit slip, because even in the cash book there is a portion for deposit slip number. You record it in that, and then at the end of the month, they just do a monthly bank reconciliation, so that if there is any errors or omission, it will be detected and rectified. So, if auditors find that this amount is recorded in the cash book, but no bank statement, that is a point for query. Whether the bank statements have been requested at the end of the month, that will not still address this issue, because they are just looking at the procedures, and these procedures are laws, they are regulations that need to be followed. And auditors will only review your process whether if there's any gap at any point, they will flag it, so that management will make sure that those things doesn't happen. Because that's why I said they look at potential risks. Because if you have that flexibility, say, okay, the deposit slip is not there, but maybe at the end of the month, let me request for the bank statement, and then you don't address this. You as an auditor, you are failing what you're supposed to do, because you are there to enhance their system, to make sure that you remind them about the process and procedures. So it cannot address this issue just to say, let me request for the bank statement to see whether it has been distributed. Yeah.
My reason for asking the question is for you to come to the total sum. I don't have that document before me, the total sum that she highlighted. For you to arrive at that sum total, to say that this is what you find not to be deposited, I believe that you could have cross-reference to find out actually whether it's also not in their bank statements which they might have produced to you during the period, because you might have asked for those statements to view them.
Yes, they can do that. They can do that, but that will not still make the... Yeah.
I take your point. I understand.
And they are not even saying it's not bank. They are saying deposit slip. Here, the issue is particular about the deposit slip, because it's a requirement. So that's why they say no deposit slip was submitted to us to confirm. So they are not even talking about the money has not been banked. If they confirm that, if that was the case, they will say fraud. But that's not. These are just internal processes. Yeah.
Thank you. Council, can you proceed?
Yes, sure. Further to that, on the second comment that the auditors made, he said, we also note variances between postings in the cash book and lodgement to the bank for some collectors. As seen in the table, the variances were both surpluses and deficits. No explanation was provided at the time of writing the query. Does that not mean that there were discrepancies between the amounts that were deposited to the bank.
Are you at the same?
Page 22. After you stated that.
In fact, I think that most of the time I don't even want to be tempted to answer the question without looking at the. Because
that's
normally
fine.
that will give a full listing, or even this particular issue. If you look at the management response here, they are saying the deposit slips for all monies bank are available for your review. And then auditors further comment, they say, contrary to the claim in the management response, only total value of 16,583,981 in deposit was traced from records provided. This leaves a remaining balance of 44,229,746 unaccounted. The delays of the pay-in slip trace are tabled in Annex 6. And we also noted variance between postings in the cash book and the lodgement to the bank for some collectors. As seen in the table, the variance were both surpluses and deficit. No explanation was provided. So the auditors has even went further, to do a further verification about the bank statement and then the deposit slip variance. Yes, discuss.
Okay. Page 24 is also unpresented cash books, and your finding was that review of revenue earning books against the collector's cash book reveals that some cash books are not presented for a review. Inquiry from management reveals that one of the collectors had been dismissed from his appointment, but he's still having this cash book with him. And then the details are shown in the table below. And there were 3 collectors who still had cash books.
Yeah. These cash books were not presented for our review. Inquiry from management revealed that one of the collectors had been dismissed from the appointment, but he is still having this cash book with him. So details are shown below. And then the implication is there is risk that these cash books contain substantive amount that may be diverted for personal use. And then the management response, they said the cash book for the underlisted collectors are traced and available for your review. The auditors further comment, contrary to the claim in the management response, only one of the cashier's cash book was provided. However, the used GTRs administered in his name cash book was not presented. This means that we could not still account for the collections made by him. The GTR posted in the cash book are detailed in the table below. Out of the 3, management said the cash books have been submitted, but only one was submitted, and that one that was submitted, the receipts book also were not attached. So the queries still remain the same.
So from the GTRs that have been listed and the amount collected by this one person, it came to an amount of 1,279,190.
110, yeah.
Does that mean that that is an amount that has not been accounted for?
Yes, it has not been accounted for.
Oh. I refer you to page 29 of the management letter in respect of unpaid rent, Busumbala Market.
Page 29, right?
29, yes. Your finding is that during the inspection at the Busumbala Market, we discovered that 2 recently constructed blocks comprising 17 shops whose occupants could not show evidence of paying rent to the council. This was corroborated by the confession by the vendors occupying the shops, who all except one confirmed they have never paid any rent to the council since they occupied the shops. The only tenant who ever paid rent only paid 3 months. See attached receipt. The cumulative outstanding rent due from this amount is amounted to 78,900. The council collector at the market confirmed that he was not authorized to collect rent from the shops in question. You have indicated that the market committee representative you interviewed alleged that the canteens in question were built by a project as support to the women group of the market and not by the council. He suggested that may explain the reason for the non-payment of rent of the council. When quizzed about the situation, the Director of Planning indicated that she did not have any knowledge about the said construction or arrangement over the operation of the said canteen, since it was the former CEO who oversaw the project without the official involvement of the council management or general counsel. The current CEO said that the canteen did not form part of the handing over notes, and so he could not provide information as to the status quo. Can you tell us about the implication of this issue?
Yes, the implication is a key decision such as construction at market without the express approval of the General Council and coordination with management is a clear violation of the Local Government Act. The non-payment of rent by tenants constitutes substantial loss of revenue by the Council. And their recommendation, our recommendation was we recommend that management investigate the current abnormality as soon as possible with a view to establish the fact and taking necessary corrective measures to regularize the situation. The management responded and said the non-payment of rent to the council constitutes a huge loss of revenue, and we admit there are loopholes in the coordination and construction of the shops, canteen. Auditors, well, that is, it's like they've acknowledged and then they said it's a loophole, but they will engage the community in question and the relevant stakeholders.
Are you aware if they ever contacted the CEO, the former CEO, about it?
No, their response doesn't indicate that. They only said officer response with Director of Planning and Development, but how to go about it, they haven't. They said they will engage the community in question and relevant stakeholders in addressing issues. So, but it doesn't come to our knowledge who are those relevant stakeholders to be contacted.
During the course of your tenure in auditing the councils, have you found that it is usual for such projects to be implemented within the council without the involvement of the council or any documentation for the projects with the councils?
I know councils, when it comes to issues like these, for example, the Director of Planning, because like I believe she should be very critical in this, but just to say councils, you have a lot of abnormalities, you know, certain things, maybe the actual people, the right people to be involved, or maybe the right authority we are not involved in one reason or the other. I think yes, it happens. Not only, maybe this is on the high side because it has to do with the construction of the markets and the like, but the example that I just want to bring is like, you see councils where the Director of CEO will process the payment without the Director of Finance approving, or the Director of Finance processing a payment without a CEO, and then the check will be signed and the money will be withdrawn, when these two people, you know, are the ones to authorize any payment. So things like this do happen. Maybe this on the high side because it has to do with the construction of the market, but these abnormalities and then people not, you know, the right people not doing the right, authorizing the right transactions, it's reducing, but have been happening.
Commissioner Joyner wants to ask you a question.
Thank you very much, Council. I am a bit confused when the Director of Planning doesn't know or is not aware that a capital expenditure of that nature of building a market is not aware that is being done within the council. What does that tell you as an auditor?
What that tells me as an auditor is an internal control lapses in the councils. And if you look at all my answers, all my these things, I keep saying internal control weaknesses, oversight weaknesses in the council. These are the biggest problems in the councils. If you have a robust internal control, it will never happen. because the director of finance will be, the director of development or whatever will be the CEO has to rely on her for some of these things to come out with. It cannot, the CEO cannot proceed and bypass the director of plan. I'm just saying, if at all you have functional internal controls in place, and it would have, if you have effective internal procedures in place, it will be flagged but by even the internal auditor before the controls or before the national audit even get there. So that's why I'm saying most of these things, effective internal control system in the council is what is weakened.
Okay, a follow-up question to that is, you have reported this in year 1.
Yes.
Let's assume.
Yeah.
In year 2, the same thing occurs, that the oversight is weak, as you are saying. Is it that cause for a special audit? Because we are talking in the millions.
Mm-hmm.
Where would that recommendation come from for a special audit?
I don't know. Auditors, I don't, you know, some of these things, if I said oversight, what I mean, even the councillors, the chairman and the councillors has an oversight function. And this has been reported in the report. The Ministry of Local Government are copied in this report. They have an oversight function. The report has been discussed at the National Assembly. They have an oversight function. So this was 2019. These are some of the things, because the reason why the auditors produced the audit report and copied all the relevant stakeholders is for their action. Auditors, we don't take action. We only report, but we don't take action. So the people who should take action are the oversight, those who have that oversight mandate. That's what I mean by, you know, this is just a weakness in the internal control and the oversight. Because if those things are functional, they will not allow these things to go until the next audit. They will take an action about some of these things. I don't know. So when it comes to the special audit, National Audit Office, the Auditor General has the mandate. If he thinks that there are serious issues somewhere, can call sanction for a special audit. The Auditor General has that mandate. But again, these oversight institutions, also the Ministry, the Executive, National Assembly, also has the mandate to instruct or to ask the Auditor General to conduct a special audit, and the Auditor General can advise accordingly.
So in other words, calling up for a special audit can be initiated by the National Audit Office or by the stakeholders. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, National Audit, the Auditor General can.
Okay.
If it's not there are serious these things, he can specially, but that will be, for example, we heard about some of these things, millions embezzled at a particular issue. The Auditor General can say, even before our statutory audit, can say, oh, this is a high risk, let's just go and conduct a special audit as quickly as possible. But if the National Audit, during their normal audit, they found this, for them there is no point again for the same audit to go and say we are conducting a special audit. It's a duplication of effort. That's why special audits are not automatic. The Auditor General can advise. We've been requesting a lot of special audits in our office. But the Auditor General will sit with the management and then we evaluate. Some of these things, they are even found in our normal report. It's just that people are just exact about special audit. When you have the most important finding in the normal audit report, nothing has been done about it. Yeah.
Let me just ask a follow-up question to what my colleague has just asked. With respect to some of these issues that occurred in 2018, 2019, and you see the same things in your 2020 audit, 2021 audit. What steps does the audit office take pursuant to the recurrence of some of these major issues that has led to you doing your findings, which involve you having to make disclaimer and adverse findings?
Yes, audit office is a reporting body. We all have our mandates. and then our mandate is to audit and report to the stakeholders. For us, when there is any issue, we'll just make sure that we report it and copy the relevant stakeholders, and then when we go there, with the expectation that those who have in that policy decision will take an action. For us, when we go back again, our responsibility is to review. We've reported this. How far have you implemented? What has been done about it? And then we will report on that status of implementation and report back to the right stakeholders again. So for them to take action, that is not the auditors. That is for the various other stakeholders.
Thank you. Council, can you proceed?
Thank you. Mr. Traore, let me refer you to page 31 of
page
the
31, okay.
management letter.
Okay.
There were 3 market visits, Lamin, Busumbala, and Skuta. These were chosen as your sample locations.
Yes.
Can you run us through what your team discovered when they visited these markets? I'm assuming that these markets were built by the council or being operated by the council, which is why...
Yeah.
Yes, okay. So
yeah.
Can you please run us through what they discovered?
Yes. In auditing councils, we don't only limit our audit to the finance, the payment vouchers here and there, but we also look at the development projects, some of the development projects, and some of the market, because all the market belongs to the councils. Even if a council doesn't build a market, but they have a responsibility to maintain and provide the services, the required services for the citizens using the market. So anytime we go out to audit, we will go to some of these intervention areas, the market, the development listing, and then to report the condition or the status of those facilities. And then we visited 3 markets, Lamen, Busumbala, and Sukura, as our sample location. Lamen, we found no operational toilet at the market. The vendors rely on close neighbors for toilet facilities. The market committee members indicated that several requests were made to the council through the council representative for the restoration of the facility without any success. The state of the toilet was the same as it is since our last visit, and management in their response last time indicated that they will do everything in their capacity to address the situation. There is currently no water facility in place since the malfunctioning of the one installed. This was also allegedly reported to the management but not yet resolved. The situation too was queried in our last report, and council promised to resolve the matter in the management letter. The environment around and within the market was also found to be littered with debris of refuse dumped by market vendors and surrounding households. The market committee members indicated that no refuse collection was conducted at the market for over a year. This appears to be corroborated by evidence of heaps of refuse all over the market, and the pictures are shown on Annex 7. Busumbala Market. There is a newly constructed toilet facility at the market. However, one of the 2 compartments were found to be locked. The council representative with us could not explain to us the said facility was said to be constructed by the Village Development Committee, who then took control. The arrangement leaves the only 1 compartment shared by both sexes at the market. Sukuta. There was no work standpipe in operation at the market. The market vendors resort to fetching consumable water from inside the toilet. The vendor also complained of poor structure of the market, which constantly kept overflowing, expelling foul water into the market. This is reported to be a continuous problem, and there was no caretaker posted to the market, leaving the vendors bearing the cost of cleaning, and the picture is shown on Annex 7. Conclusion: the poor sanitation at the markets carried the risk of resulting in health hazard to vendors and even customers. Lack of provision of basic needs of toilet and water facility will render the market inhabitable. Management response: they said, we take the matter of the sanitary conditions of our market with utmost attention. you should agree with us that maintaining and sustaining the condition of these public facilities require a multi-sector approach and collaboration from our diverse stakeholders. Indiscriminate waste disposal by the public is largely responsible for the poor sanitary condition of the market. And the councils, as custodian of the market, have never been involved in the identification of these dump sites. We will take corrective measures to address the respective problem. This was their response, and the auditors further comment, the management response has not addressed the following matters highlighted in the query, which as you fall under the responsibility of the council: the lack of water supply facility in the market, the non-availability of defective structure including toilet, the indiscriminate waste disposal by the public is acknowledged. However, there was no evidence on site that the designated dump sites within the market are collected regularly. This was evidently found to also contribute to the poor sanitary condition significantly. It's like they've agreed. The only thing is like it needs multi-sectorial approach. Some of these markets also, they are not involved. So basically that was their response as far as the markets are concerned.
But regardless, they're responsible for the management of the market.
Yes, and then the auditors are reminding them that the supply of water and the sanitary conditions is the responsibility is yours.
Can I just ask, does any personnel from the council accompany your team when they're going on these site visits?
Yes.
So they see what it is that...
they always lead. You know, auditors, we are very, very careful. I think that's the beauty about audit. Because if you are writing your report, you know that, okay, there is somebody who is going to counter you. There is somebody who is also trying to look at the fault. So that's why we are very careful. That's why the first day I look at the audit, I started looking at the audit process. At any point in time, starting from the engagement letter, all the documents needed, all the information needed, and when we are doing the audit, that's why we are stationed, so that nobody will say, I'm not aware of this. We will make sure that all the critical stakeholders are involved, consultation. Even if you write a report, your draft, you will send it to them for them to verify and say it is correct, they sign. And then even the audit report, this audit opinion, I will not sign an opinion if the director of finance, the CEO, and the care person doesn't sign. It will be with them, they will scrutinize it, agree to all the points, they sign, then I sign. Then it will finance. So they are involved and they are aware of whatever is happening throughout the process.
So did they appear to have any process for collecting refuse? I mean, when you did the site visit, did they have trucks or donkey carts or anything to collect trash?
Well, they are not collecting it. So the team, I think, even if you have the trucks or donkey carts, maybe they are not collecting. The auditors will not know maybe whether those donkey carts or trucks are for that collection. For them, what they want to confirm is the dump site is clean, the collection has been taking place. Yeah. So they haven't mentioned that. What is clear is like they said for almost a year, for more than 1 year, they have not been collecting this. So maybe even if there is donkey or trucks, maybe they are not for that purpose. I can't tell you.
At page 33, paragraph 4.2 is dedicated to the dump site.
Yes.
Is this dump site the one that is near the market, or is this the designated dump site?
It should be, but let me read, and then you know most of these things I'm not even there. I rely on the report too. You know. Yeah, finding dump site at the Tambana dump site. This is a particular dump site. I know I visited this. It's around Brikama. At the Tambana dump site, there was still evidence of indiscriminate dumping as well as encroachment all over the space. These now include dumping close to and into the main highway by the dump site. In addition to this, the council did not also provide us with documentary proof of ownership of the site, and then the space area could not be authenticated. All the above findings except the dumping into the highway were reported in the last management letter, and management responded that it will regularize the place. Well, what happened was this Tambana is an outskirts in Brikama. I can remember the place. I visited the place once. So that's where they dump all the rubbish or whatever. But now you can see that people are even coming toward that dump site. And then we asked for the documentary evidence so that to prove that this place belongs to the council, but that was not proper, because the risk there is maybe people can claim that they are even encroaching into their properties, so we can lead to legal litigations or whatever. So that's why we just flag this, for that documentary evidence to be clear so that they can prevent people from encroaching into that area. The management respond, they said the rate of indiscriminate waste dump site is a complex facing the council. This is further compounded by the poor condition of the access to the final point of dumping. And they said rehabilitation of the access road with gravel is a work in progress. This project is being awarded to a contract of 30th December 2020, and work is expected to commence soon. There are also efforts to obtain the necessary paperwork for the site in question. Yeah, so
there's no further comment?
Yeah, there is no further comment because they agree. They said they will work on the documentation, and then the encroachment and people dump, the dumps, indiscriminate dumping is a challenge, but they will see what to do.
But that was the similar response from the year before?
Yes, that was a similar year before, yeah.
Let me just find out from the witness. Mm-hmm. Is it this Tambana dump site? Mm-hmm. Is it the alternative for the Bakote dump site?
I would not know. I would not know. I don't see that anywhere. Yeah, thanks.
Madam Chair, it was meant to for the dump site at Mile 2 and for Bakote. Everything was supposed to be transferred to Tambana. And the reason was they were supposed to do some separation of waste so that they could fix an incinerator to be producing electricity. But there have been numerous challenges. One of them is that a community close to the Tambana dump site is saying that it's their farms, and it ended up being a place where sand mining activity have been taking place, and royalties were paid to the communities that were very close there. So it was meant to, but because of the financial constraints, because I understand we worked on a project like that, it has cost over 400, it should cost over 400,000 euro for that project, but it's not taking place because of the financial implications. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Silla.
Thank you. I refer you to page 42.
Page 42, right?
Yes. You have stated that there are market daily receipt serial numbers that were being duplicated.
Market daily receipt serial numbers
being duplicated.
Or yeah.
Yes, okay.
During our audit, we came across an ongoing issue relating to market daily receipt serial numbers being duplicated. Our investigation into the issue through discussion and review on snapshot of sample tickets collected found out that the digital tax collection system through the point of sales device was issuing the same serial numbers, date and time on market daily ticket. And the implication, this can lead to public outcry and mistrust as to the credibility and efficiency of the system to collect their taxes. There is possibility of inconsistent and inaccurate market daily collections. And then management responded to say, our digital device used for the collection of the daily market dues have developed a technical setback. The receipts printed by market collectors were not recording receipts in sequential order. That is, all receipts generated in one transaction have the same receipt numbers. The issue was reported to the service provider on 12 October 2020 and resolved on 14 October 2020. We want to reiterate that the digital tax collection system is fraud-proof. Auditors further comment, we will review system updates of the digital tax system in our subsequent review. We urge management to ensure the establishment of a continuous monitoring mechanism to ensure effective operationalization. we would like to urge caution whilst drawing the fact that no system can be fraud-proof. Control mechanism is strengthened by both design and operation. The incident of duplication of receipts as reported is proof of this. What happened was the Brikama Area Council introduced a new ticketing system, a digital one if you like, but they realized that the tickets were duplicating numbers, and then you need these ticket numbers to know. But if the numbers are duplicated, it will be very difficult to. So that's what the auditors are reporting. But the management is saying it happened 12, and then it was regularized on the 14th, and then their system is fraud-proof, and then that is it. But basically, they accepted, but they said it has been regularized. So the audit team will confirm if no similar issue happened in the subsequent audit. Yeah. But what we just want to bring to their attention is that there is no system that is fraud-proof. You just keep monitoring and then strengthening it also. Yeah.
Thank you. On page 49 of the report, you have, well, it's Annex 2, and it's in respect of incomplete personnel files. And I note that the first personnel on that list is a magistrate. Are you aware if is it that the magistrate is under the payroll of the council?
Well, if his name falls designation magistrate application this and this is from the council, then meaning he should be part of, according to this report, because these are the files of the council staff. So.
And do you find that other councils have the same issue, that the magistrates are under the payroll of the council?
No, I can't remember that in any report. I can't remember that.
Okay. Thank you. I'll move to another report unless the commissioners have questions.
Mr. Trawale, it has been noted that there are some irregularities in the treasurer's receipts, referring to the management letter of 2018 for Brikama Area Council. It is noted that there are amounts such as total on receipts that were perhaps provided to you, totaling to 10,060,762.87. Then there is a recasted actual postings, which amount totaled to 8,185,092.87. Then you have the variance on the variance, which is on the posted amount, which is 1,875,670. Now, without reading the recommendation and the response, my question is, did you see the same trend in 2019, in 2020, and 2021?
Which report is this?
2018 management letter.
They want me to go back to 2018?
No, it's just to, yes. This is actually on page 24, 25 of the management letter.
Okay.
So this is on the issue of irregularity with treasurer's receipts. Yes, which was highlighted in this report.
Yeah.
So I am asking this question, having stated these figures, was it a recurrence that you noticed in the 2019 and the 2020 and the 2021 audit report? Just a short answer, yes, if it is a recurrent incident, or no, if it is not a recurrent incident.
The actual action, right?
Yes.
The exact action?
Yes.
Oh, no, because otherwise it will appear in the 2019 and 2020. But I haven't seen it in the 2019 and 2020.
So there were no irregularities in receipts being posted and the amount being less than what is...
No, what I'm trying to say is this particular finding that you were just reading, you said whether the same finding keeps occurring.
Yes, or same finding or similar findings where.
Yes, similar, because 2019 we just read about a treasurer receipt book being used to collect revenue given to a particular. So these are all similar. Okay. For us, our similar will be internal control weaknesses on finance. So similar things have been happening.
Yes, yes. Then a further question. Thank you so much. I just want to see the sequence of issues. Yes. Thank you. Then we look at also the issue of banks. You have stated in your management letter that particularly for Brikama, they have a series of banks they are banking with. For example, I can read from page 13, which is Ajib Bank, Zenith Bank, Access Bank, TBL, I don't know what that means, in brackets is O/M, maybe Trust Bank Limited, Guarantee Trust Bank, Force International Bank, and Eco Bank. And my question here is, you've noted that these numerous bank accounts may cause unnecessary bank charges. And my question here is this what you also see in other councils?
I know in other councils, you know, councils.
No, I'm just trying.
No, I understand.
For you to summarize for us so that we gain time. Whether these multiple banks that, for example, Brikama Area Council is banking with, is it something that you see in other area councils for 2019, 2020, and 2021?
At times, I'm not very good in summarizing, so that's a weakness in me.
Okay.
That's a weakness.
Yes, you can explain.
Yeah. These are, if you look at these councils from 2017-18, the things that have been happening gradually, as I've mentioned, that's why even when the Auditor General set up a unit to focus on only the councils, there are significant improvement gradually. There are improvements because by then, opening of numerous bank accounts was common to almost all the councils. To answer your question, it was a common practice. And then we flag it because opening a lot of banks can even be a sign of a fraud. And then it will make reconciliation difficult for you. But some of them, the excuse they will also give is revenue collection, because if people want to pay money to the bank, at least they should have that flexibility, maybe to Trust Bank, Access Bank, and then, but if you confine them to only, it can be a revenue, suppression of revenue. Somebody might have the money to pay to the council, but they shouldn't be constrained in accessing a bank. So our recommendation was, because as auditors, we don't want to involve in policy issue for auditors to say, auditors are the one who said, we are very careful in that. We said, but your spending account, maybe where you're going to spend from, that one can be limited to maybe only 1 or 2 banks. But where, they can be deposited, then you can leave that one open so that you will not say, because we are constrained, people would like to. But it has reduced now significantly. Now, their spending account will only be limited to 1 or 2 or 3 banks. But in terms of paying money to their account, then they leave the other accounts open, but only for collection of revenue. It has reduced drastically, to be honest.
Thank you. And my final question is on the list of, in the same management letter, you listed the issue of, you've stated that there are unposted collections in the main cashier's book amounting to 699,000, which is for trade license. Now, my question also is, do you see a similar trend of this happening based on what you have stated on page 23 of your management letter with respect to unposted collections in the main cash book with regards to trade license? Is it Is it a similar occurrence in all of the councils?
I can't say it was a similar occurrence, but in all of the councils, because the period will differ. The periods will differ, 2014. So now maybe comparison, if we are talking about Brikama Council for 2018 and 2019, maybe I feel that comparison might help me. But if you say 2018, whether that was a similar occurrence for all the councils, it will be difficult because I want to be certain of whatever answer I'm giving here. I don't want to be guided by my report.
Yes. Okay. Yeah? Now let me narrow the question. Is this a similar occurrence for Brikama Area Council subsequent to the 2018 management report for 2019, 2020, and 2021?
Yeah. If you look at Brikama, even 2019, we have this unposted deposit slips. So they are all posting entry issues. So it's like it happened, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it happened.
Thank you. And let me look at this. In the meantime, if there are any questions from the commissioners, you may ask. Yes. Mr. Silla, you can go.
Thank you. Mine is a statement because it seems that I am confused. Let me take you back a bit. What I cannot understand is that a market is being built. It must have been designed by a consultant or the director of planning. It must have been supervised. Contractual documents must have been prepared. Land allocation was done. And it seems that nobody now there is not anybody who is understanding how the market came into being. It's not easy to understand. And to go further, you have the Department of Physical Planning crossing the road, seeing the market under construction, and it was left like that till completion. In case disaster happens, sorry, I pray that it doesn't happen, and it has a structural defect, the nature of a market, what is going to happen? So it's a rather very complex project, and nobody takes responsibility. Of course, that is why people have decided not to pay, because it doesn't belong to anybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Silla. Mr. Trawale, before I hand you back to council, let me find out the issue of excessive use of honorarium. Is it something that you've realized in your findings in 2019, 2022?
For Brikama Area Council?
Yes, for Brikama Area Council.
For 2019, 2022 report, we are yet, the audit stops at 2021 for Brikama.
Yes, 2021.
2019 report, I haven't seen any finding for that. Then 2020, 2021, unless I confirm. If it's still happening, the auditors will flag it. But right now, unless you allow me to go to that report, or
yes, can you please go to that report so that we are sure that it's not a recurrent issue?
Yeah, 2019 it is not there. So well, let me just. I just went through the table of content, but there's nothing of that finding.
Okay.
For 2020, 2021, yeah.
Okay. On the issue of the non-deduction of withholding tax, You've indicated in your 2018 management report that all transactions, when you say all transaction means all contracts and services that were executed by the Brikama Area Council, no withholding tax was deducted. Is that also the situation in 2019, 2020, 2021 report?
Yeah, it is there.
Thank you. And on the issue also of non-council related payments, you have indicated that you have even shown a table in the management report for 2018.
Okay.
Did you see that same situation in 2019, 2020, and 2021?
No, maybe in the subsequent, because these non-council related payments has reduced, to be honest, from 2018-19 to, because what I mean by then is mostly fuel to ordinary people, certain visits that are not even related to the council. But I think these were the things that we queried, and then, well, by then you can see even the council, they were doing it they were not willing, you know what I mean, to have been imposed on them. So I think that is an area that where we get their cooperation very easily, you know, for them to stop spending on non-related council items. But again, now the non-related council, the reason why I said it is reduced, but now they will just be spending it on things maybe not following the procedures here and there, lack of so, but to spend it on other issues that one has reduced in all the councils.
Okay, there is also the issue of single source procurement.
Yes.
There is an annex attached on page 48 of the management letter, indicating a sum total of 2,364,533.80, and you've made a recommendation to the effect that this single-sourced procurements were subject to some, I may not say abuse, but were subject to some irregularities, if I may use that word. What is your findings in the 2019, 2020, and 2021 reports with respect to single source procurements? You know, you have elaborated extensively on why the internal mechanisms should be followed, because these are provided for by the GPPA rules, etc. So my question is, what is your findings with issues of, particularly because you have come out very clearly on your 2018 management report as to the problems with single source procurements that were done. So I am asking now, what is your findings in the 2019, 2020, and 2021 reports? Yes,
2018, you know, single source procurement, it's not even illegal. It's allowed, but it needs to be approved by GPPA, because the reason is just to make sure that if you are doing any procurement, let there be that fair play, instead of maybe just giving it to a favored person and then value for money. So that's why even it is allowed, but there are conditions, you know, and then that conditions also, you need to get approval from GPPA. Even if there is single source procurement and then we get the approval, you sought the approval from GPPA, auditors has no right to query.
Yes.
So I think that was the reason, because, and then auditors look at the potential risks.
Yes.
Procedures, if not addressed, that can, you know, motivate, because all this fraud, or what causes fraud is opportunity, pressure and opportunity. If you have the opportunity, you commit it. But if their internal controls are strengthened or whatever, you might not commit fraud, but that doesn't mean that you are honest enough. It's just that because the opportunity is not there. So that's why auditors, when we see any transaction that this can lead to people committing fraud, we will flag it. That's why I always strengthen on the internal control issues. For 2019, because right now I just opened the table of content. When it comes to procurement, there is a payment without, there is a payment without competitive bidding. So, it's all procurement issues. Payment without competitive bidding. That is also found in the 2020-2021 report. Yeah. So they are reduced, but they are still, irregularities here and there. And then the council, when you come to the internal, that's why, as auditors, we can't say, you cannot rely on the previous year internal control as a for this year. You cannot say, oh, last year I went to Brikama Area Council. The controls were working, they were just effective, they were robust, and then this year I said, no need to do much testing also because the controls were okay. The reason is, maybe there is somebody at Brikama Area Council at that point in time who is doing what he or she supposed to do. But this year, the person is no more there. Or maybe there is somebody who is, monitoring, very good in his monitoring or whatever, but this year he's not there. Or maybe the person's attitude can even change. So if you look at these councils, there was even a time I was definitely impressed about all the councils. That was a time I was definitely impressed about all the councils.
Normally, that was what time?
Normally I don't want to go there, but to be specific, to help the commission. The reason why I always mention the stakeholders, the councils, the ministry, National Assembly, we all have to work together. This was the time when Fatou Jiba was the Director of Governance, and when Amunyas was by then they call it local council chairman also, FPA. It wasn't like FPA. By then we have a local council and ombudsman. He was the chair. Around 2018, 2019, the previous legislature before this one. These two people, I definitely got their support. Amunyas at the National Assembly, he was the chair, and Fatou Jiba was the Director of Governance by then. Myself and Fatou will be on phone about the council issues, even at night. She will call me, she will come to my office anytime I call at the doors, and then at times we will drag all the councils to the National Assembly. That was the time we even come up with that all the councils have to prepare financial statement. And by then all the councils, they even started to recruit some staff and then make a lot of movement within themselves. But at some point, it became, and then what I'm trying to say, they are going back. Some of the councils are going back to that previous. That's why I keep talking about the oversight. Because the moment the oversight is losing also, people will, the moment they have that opportunity again, they will go back to zero. But by then, there was that pressure on them, and they were forced. They have no choice but to force to do something that they're supposed to do. Maybe I don't want to go personal to them, but I think just to help, just to help the commission. That's why I mentioned this.
Thank you so much. And Council, can you proceed, please? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Traore, may I refer you to the audit of Brikama Area Council, audit report and management letter for the period ending December 2021.
Okay.
This year, well, for this report, you provided a qualified opinion for the council.
Page? Yeah.
Oh, page 31.
Sorry. Page 31, right?
Yes. For the year ended December 2021.
Yes. Yeah. For the year ended December 2021, yes.
Can you explain the qualified opinion?
The opinion is qualified, but it's actually except for, if you look at the second line, except for, this means there were no major material pervasive issues. That comes to the attention of the auditor to say that the accounts are not true and fair. There are issues, omissions, misstatement, but they are not pervasive. They haven't affect each and every component. So that's why we said it is true and fair, except for maybe one or two issues that were omitted. But they haven't still affect the judgment of the auditors to say it is not true and fair. So we are like, we have audited the financial statement of Brikama Area Council for the year, and the 31st December 2021. This financial statement comprises of revenue and expenditure and the balance sheet. In my opinion, except for the effects of the matters described in the basis for qualified opinion, accompanied by the financial statement presented in all material aspects, the results of the Council as at 31st December 2021 and financial performance for the year ended in accordance with the financial manual and the local government authorities. Meaning, apart from the issues that I have mentioned under the basis of qualified opinion, the accounts were true and fair for that period. And that issue is the unpresented deposit slip. Deposit slip for 2 revenue collectors were not presented for audit inspection, as in paragraph 3.2.5. Without the deposit slip, we could not confirm if all revenue collected were banked, since we could not trace these collections in the bank statement. This is due to the maintenance of different bank accounts, which makes it difficult to track collections bank. We could not also determine the correctness of the revenue figures reported in the financial statement. And key audit matters, this is the presentation of records. Key audit matters, but these key audit matters will not affect our opinion. That's the presentation of records was also an issue during the audit. The audit took a significant lot of time for us to finalize, because documentation was an issue. That is the opinion. The opinion is qualified, except for qualification, meaning the accounts were true and fair, except for these undeposited slip.
So the undeposited slips are the issues that are raised on page 67 of the report.
On page
67 of the report.
Mm-hmm.
Your finding is that the deposit slips in respect of licensed collectors were not presented for audit inspection for the years 2020 and 2021 as detailed below. And as in the absence of the deposit slips, you could not confirm that revenue collected were deposited to the bank.
Yes, that is it. Yeah, because of this figure, we cannot say the account is true and fair. But this is the one that is pervasive, that affects the fund. That's why we cannot say it is true and fair, but we said except for. It is true and fair except for these undeposited slips. So this is what we give as our basis for that opinion.
So some of these collectors had 156.
I don't know whether we're talking of the same part.
We are, but it's because you have said that the basis for your qualified opinion, under 1, you said unpresented deposit slips.
Yes.
Deposit slips for 2 revenue collectors were not presented for audit inspection, as in paragraph 3.2.5 of the management letter. Without the deposit slips, we could not confirm if all revenue collected were banked, since we could not trace these collections in the bank statements. So that's what I'm trying to ascertain, whether you had an idea of how much revenue was unaccounted for due to the unpresented deposit slips.
No, we are not able to. That is why, because it was unpresented. That's why it affects our opinion given for the period 2021. Otherwise, they could have, they might get a clean opinion. But because of this, that's why we said, except for this particular issue, we cannot say that the accounts are true and fair.
Okay.
Or the accounts are true and fair, except for this particular issue. Yes.
All right.
On the issue of Mr. Trawali, on the issue of unpresented documents, Section 37(1) of the Finance and Audit Act specifically stated, I know you are very conversant with that provision, and it makes it mandatory for the supposed audited institution to provide you with the documents, mandatorily.
Yes.
So in the instance where you request for the documents and they did not produce it, so you just state it and leave it like that? Is that how it goes?
Yes, mandatory. We just bring it. If it is a financial statement, it will have an impact on our opinion. If it is not a financial statement of audit, it will be reported so that those charged with governance, if you like, the oversight will know this is what happened. Because even if something that is mandatory has not been given to the auditors cannot take, the only action the auditors can take for now is to report it in their report and present it to those who assigned them to conduct that audit. Well, remember, the Auditor General is doing this audit on behalf of the National Assembly. Well, that's why he reports to the Assembly. So it's them for take action, but not the auditors. For us, the only thing we can do is to report it. Yeah.
Thank you. You can proceed, Council.
Thank you. I refer you to page 56 of the management letter, or of the report. Paragraph 3.1.2, incorrect treatment of ledger balances.
Page what? Which page?
56.
Oh, 56. I'm going too far around.
You have noted that some ledger balances were with opening balance figures. These were in respect of expenditure. However, there should be no opening balances on these items since the area council was operating on cash basis, which recognized expenditure when actual payment was made. Can you please explain this in very simple terms?
Yeah, we noted that some ledger balances were with opening balance figures. These were in respect of expenditure. However, there should be no opening balance on these line items since the area council was operating on cash basis, which recognized expenditure when actually paid and when actually spent. What they are saying is, like, if you said they are accounting when they say they are operating on a cash basis, meaning you use cash to buy something, and then when people are paying, they pay by cash. So, if that's the thing, at the end of the year, what you should have should be cash, the physical cash in your book, and then in the bank, the physical cash. But you shouldn't have balance to say, okay, these are the people I'm supposed to pay, and they haven't paid, this is the balance. Or this is the money that I'm supposed to receive, but I didn't receive, this is the balance. Because of the accounting policy they are using, it's cash basis. So that's what the auditors are trying to flag in this finding.
Thank you. We have stated the implication is that it might overstate total expenditure, understating the total surplus for the year, which might lead to misstatement of the financial statements.
Yes.
Can you also just explain that?
Yeah, that's the implication, because it's like you are not following your accounting treatment, the accounting policy. So if you don't follow that, at the end of the year you said this is the actual amount of money I'm supposed to pay, and this is the actual amount of money I'm expected to receive. There is a risk that you might be underestimating the payment you should do, or understating the revenue that you're supposed to receive. And if that happens, because you need those balances to prepare your financial statement, so that can have an impact on your financial statement. And then they've responded. They said the opening balance starts on 1st January, not on 31st December in a fiscal year. These balances are there for closing balances, according to their explanation. So the auditors further comment, they're saying, we have discussed with the Director of Finance and agreed that these were opening balances for the current year 2021 and closing for the previous year 2020. The ledger balances affected were corrected and the financial statement were revised accordingly. So meaning they've later engaged us and then they've agreed. He did the correction and then he sorted out, yeah.
Thank you. I refer you to page 60 of the report.
Page 60, right?
Yes, 60. On loss of revenue collection machines. You have stated that you found out that 2 of the daily market collectors lost their revenue collection machines. We were informed that the area council police investigated this, but no investigation report was provided for our confirmation after several requests. Can you tell us about this?
We found that 2 of the daily collectors with their names lost their revenue collectors machine. We were informed that the area council police investigated this, but no investigative report was provided for our confirmation after several requests. So the implication for this is, in the absence of the investigative report, it might be difficult to determine the outcome and conclusion of the investigation and to confirm if recommendations made were implemented. Their response was, firstly, for the purpose of clarification, the mentioned revenue collectors are not market collectors. The investigative report is available for your review. And then the auditors further comment, we reviewed the investigative report of 7 June 2021 by the area council police and noted that there was a break-in of the rate and tax office at Sfinchu Alaji on 7 June 2021. The 2 machines were taken from the office desk drawer. The 2 staff concerned were requested to pay 5,000 each, which they did. However, given the risks involved with the machine, which are used to collect revenue, the issue should be forwarded to the Gambia Police Force for proper investigation in order to recover the said machine. In the absence of recovery of the machines, they might be used to collect revenue without notice by the council, leading to a loss of revenue. Here, these are the machines that they used to collect revenue, and then 2 of it were stolen according to the report, but they were only reported to their council police. So our recommendation was it should be reported to the Gambia Police Force because and then for investigation, because the issue here is not about the money, because they said each of them paid 5,000. I don't know what that 5,000 was for, but the issue here is this is a machine used for collection of revenue. If it is not recovered or an action has not been taken, it can be in the hand of a wrong person, and then the person can use it to collect revenue.
Okay. Page 78 of the report. It seems to be either a duplication or
page 78.
78, farther to page 67, which is again unpresented deposit slips. And it says the area council did not present some deposit slips in respect of collections of $446,863 for rates and taxes for audit inspection.
78, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but you know these, okay, let me just... unpresented deposit slip. The area council did not present some deposit slips in respect of collection of $446,000 for rates and taxes for audit inspection. This might be the period. You know, the management letter is a combination of 2020 and 2021. Mm-hmm. And 2021, the internal control issues, we just make it one management letter. Okay. Yeah. And these other ones were specific for rates and taxes. Yeah.
But the issue was unresolved as at...
Yeah, their response was, in 2020, all rates collectors were submitting to the principal cashier, as evident by the GTR number coded, it was only in 2021 when they started using the POS machine that they started depositing at the bank. So the auditors further comment, the query remains unresolved. Council should present the deposit slip from the principal cashier who was in receipt of the funds from the collectors. They were like they are using the machine to collect the money and then just go and then bank it. But the auditors are saying even after that, the deposit slip should still be submitted to the auditors for confirmation.
Thank you.
So may I ask?
Yes.
Yes.
Sure.
In that perspective, what can you explain to us about self-receipting and self-review? Receipting, because I see in your report that you raise the issue of self-receipting, that is self-receipting and self-review.
Okay, is it this particular finding?
No, the previous findings. They did occur in this one too?
I have to understand the context, because maybe that particular finding, I will know the reason why they were...
Yes, I just wanted to understand what that means in audit language.
I know self-review. Self-receipt, I don't understand that. Maybe that's what you say, general. Self-review...
It says, we've noted from the main cashier's cash book that an internal auditor stepped in to receive collections from collectors using the absence of the main cashier.
Okay.
He, however, also maintained his review function over the same transaction during this period. So the heading was self-receipting and self-review.
Yes. Okay, that is clear. Because you know the internal auditor is to help management. So serve as an oversight function for the management. Should be a tool to help management to make sure that internal controls are working effectively. So if cashiers are doing these collections or whatever happening or whatever abnormality is happening, the internal auditor should in fact be able to detect that one quickly because he is part of them. So his internal control procedure should be able to detect that one. So now, and his role is not to go and collect. So now they said the finding is saying the internal auditor took the receipt book and then went for collection for a particular period. Then now when he did the collection and he's supposed to conduct a review on those collectors, then who is going to review him? His transaction. So that's what they mean. The implication is there is self-receipt, you go and then receipt it for yourself, and then you review your own transaction.
Yes, so my question is, did you find anything like that in the 2019 report?
No, there is nothing like that. Because I think those ones are very rare cases that you don't even expect it to happen. Yeah.
So it did not occur in 2019?
No, I didn't see any report of that.
Thank you. Councillor, thank you. You can proceed.
Thank you. On page 80 of the report, on the payments without adequate supporting documents, you have noted payments of $1,301,500, which were passed for payment without adequate supporting documents to substantiate the authenticity of the transactions. And you have indicated that the details are in Annex B. Your implication is that in the absence of the supporting documents, there's a risk that the authenticity of the payments could not be confirmed. Annex B contains a list of payments for which you said that there are no adequate supporting documents. Some of them are for air tickets. Okay, you stated that there's no invitation letter, no travel clearance, payment voucher without number. Then there are subsequent payments, 99,000, 76,500, 60,000, 136,000, 186,000, 72,000, 148,000. Basically, most of these payments are in respect of clearing dump site waste and transporting waste, etc. I'm just wondering, during the course of your audit, I'm not sure if there was an issue of asset register raised in this one. I don't believe so. Is it that they do not have their own trucks to dispose of these waste? Because they're spending an inordinate amount of money paying other people to clear waste, which is their responsibility. And as well, they're not verifying these payments with proper supporting documents.
Yes, when you say payment without supporting document, that's why if you go to the annexes, you will see each and every payment. The required document that was missing, they will mention that. Because this is a regulation that any payment should be supported. If you just come and you see a payment voucher and maybe only a receipt, but you don't know what was this payment all about. Because you should make these payments as when an independent reviewer comes, he will be able to follow the documentation and then have an understanding about the payment. That's how it should be. If we are following these regulations, there will be nothing like to say, somebody come, auditors want to review and say, oh, the person responsible, you have to wait for him, he's out or so. Because files should be, documentation should be able to speak and guide whoever comes in. So in this case, payments amounting to 1,301,500 were paused for payments without adequate supporting documents. And then, as you have seen in the annexes, if you are traveling and they paid you a per diem, auditors want to see what is this traveling all about. Where again, the air ticket, the invitation, because that will show the duration, the number of days you should be paid and the like. If it is dump site, yes. This is a common payment at the Brikama Area Council. I think they used to rent these truck owners in transporting their dump site, the rubbish to the dump site. But in doing that one, when the auditors just see a payment voucher, payment to Bakari, 50,000 for transportation of dump site, but you don't see any documentation to support that payment. How do you identify that one? Is it that there is a contract between you and that individual? What is the agreement? How many days, or how many trips? If these things are not specified, auditors will just flag it. Payments without adequate supporting document. Yeah, so that is the purpose of this payment. Most of these dump sites, I think they will rent trucks from individuals and then to do the service for them.
When you say most of these dump sites, you mean for Brikama Area Council specifically,
yes,
or generally?
From Brikama Area Council to transport these dump sites, these rubbish to the dump site.
Okay. I believe Chairperson had raised the issue of indiscriminate payments of honorarium. Also. I note that it has also reoccurred in 2020. There's a payment.
Maybe let me just about this dump site issue, whatever.
Yeah.
About this supporting document, because they've responded.
Yeah,
let me read their response. They said when council clear a dump site, trucks are hired. That's just to. They said trucks are hired and they are paid in the name of one person who writes a claim on their behalf. He casts the check and distributes the money according to the number of trips collected by each driver. Such claims are approved by the CEO and paid by the Director of Finance. However, the drivers will be encouraged to register as a group and get invoice and receipt for any subsequent engagement. So the auditors are saying approval of claims by CEO is not sufficient enough to effect payment without additional documented evidence to quantify the number of trips individual drivers carried to dump site. So that is it. So they are hiring trucks and then they will just write a claim and then the claim will be signed by the CEO and then they use that one to do the payment. But the number of trips, how did they identify those ones? There is no documentary evidence for that.
So that's why I was asking about the assets register. By chance, did you see it? Did you see whether they have trucks for rubbish collection on their assets register? Because considering the amount of money that is being spent on paying other drivers to collect rubbish, which is their primary responsibility, I'm just wondering whether it...
No, they don't have enough trucks for this, so that's why they are hiring.
They don't have enough?
Yes, well, according to this, they don't. If you see them hiring trucks or so, meaning they don't have any trucks at there.
It could be that they have trucks, but the trucks have issues, or
yeah, that's what I mean. You know, if they have issues, they are not in good condition. It's not. So that's why I said they don't have any to do this. Maybe that's why they are.
I'm just wondering if it would not be more cost effective to
fix
trucks. The trucks or buy another truck than to be paying.
Yeah, well,
making all these payments.
Yeah.
Okay.
Follow-up question
Yes,
to that.
sure.
Mr. Travale, this payment seems to be significant, and this, according to my understanding, is a service being provided to the council. In this instant, would it not have been appropriate for them to have service contracts with these providers of the service?
Yeah, how they should, and then this payment also, not that all this amount was for the payment of this. It's a combination of different payments. That's why I think if you go to the table, the other one was about the air ticket. So these are all the payments that we feel that they are not adequately supported. Each payment, what is missing, you know, we will put it in the remark column. So it's not only about payment to the hiring of trucks.
No, my question, if it is a question, is that she has listed some of the payments, the significant amounts of payments that they have used in hiring these trucks.
Yes.
So my question is this not a service that has been provided to the council? If it is yes, during your findings, did you find out why they did not provide for service contracts to be effected before they just pay these monies?
Yes. My previous answer, because if you look at the findings, we noted payment of 1,301,500. I think the point I'm just doesn't mean that the whole of that 1,300,000 at the period was all for the hiring of these trucks. I just want to make that clarification. I want these 1 million. Others are for air ticket or for other payment. That's what I'm trying to say.
I understand.
Yeah. So, well, the service contract or whatever, you know, for us, our recommendation, management should ensure that the supporting documents for these payments are provided for audit inspection and ensure that in future all payments are supported with adequate documents. So when it comes to the truck, for us, I think our concern here is what are the documentations, what are the contract, or what are the agreement. These are the things that is not clear between the council and these truck owners. All what we found was the truck owners will complete a claim form, the CEO approve, and they use that one to pay. So we don't know the agreement, the arrangement, whether there is any contract, and those things we are not provided to us. So that's why we are like, it needs to be supported so that, you know, stakeholders can be informed, and then that will help them to come up with mechanism how to improve, or how the council should improve on its operation. So the service contract or whatever, you know, maybe that's for the stakeholders to advise the councils or whatever what they should do, because as auditors this is not our area. So for us it's just to say documentation need to be sufficient so that the stakeholders can be informed accordingly and then help them in their decision making.
Thank you. Council.
Thank you. So I believe 3 of the issues that were raised by the chairperson earlier in the 2018 report are recurrent in the 2021 report. So as I had stated, the issue of honorarium. On page 81, there was an honorarium, or there was a payment of $2,000 in respect of honorarium without receipts or recipient signature. And they've detailed it below. It was to 4 people, which were all 2 TVs and 2 radio stations. They have said that the payees have appended their signatures as recipients to the corresponding amounts. I mean, you don't have a further auditor's comment, but I'm assuming that it was done retrospectively, which is why you had stated before that there were no signatures.
Yes, if you look at this file, you know, the 2018 one was like the payment of indiscriminate payment of honorarium. Honorarium is acceptable if at all they are, you follow the procedure. So by then, they will be paying, you will see a lot of payment, honorarium payment, and you cannot even know what are these payments all about. So that's why in this 2021, the heading is not saying indiscriminate payment of honorarium, because meaning that is no more a trend, that is no more happening. So in this case, it was paid, but it is not like how it was. So in this case, they said the ones who were paid, you look at the amount 2,000, but they haven't signed to see that whether they have actually received it. So that's why the heading here is payment without acknowledgement. Meaning you paid somebody, but there is no evidence that the person has actually received it, because it has not been signed. Yeah.
So then,
so meaning the honorarium payment here is not an issue compared to the other these things now. Here we are just talking about if somebody has received it, you should acknowledge. That's what they are recording here.
Okay. And at page 82, again, there is non-deduction of 10% withholding tax from suppliers.
Yes.
That's also a recurrent issue.
Yeah, it's a recurrent issue. I acknowledge that. Yeah.
And they have said that it would be addressed.
Yeah.
Page 84, there's payment without competitive bidding, and the payments are to different persons and institutions, and total $642,952. That, I believe, is also a recurring issue. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, these are procurement issues, and then because these are all from the procurement laws, if the amount gets to a certain distance, there should be that competitive bidding. But in this case, we noted a payment of $642,952 for a purchase of spare parts and stationaries were made without required 3 quotations. Because any payment that is according to the regulation by then, if it is more than 10,000 for buying of goods and 30,000 for service, there should be 3 quotations. But in this case, they purchased these things, totaling to $642,000, but there was no evidence of 3 quotations being sold for it. And then the implication, in the absence of competitive bidding, value for money might not be obtained by the council, which might lead to procurement of inferior goods, inferior goods and poor services. So their response was, we admit our shortcoming. These purchases are extremely rare occurrence and beyond our circumstances at one instant. We will endeavor to improve on the findings in future transactions. So no auditors further comment. They've agreed. They've accepted to the finding.
Okay. At page 86, on the payroll deductions, you noted that some staff, well, there were personal loans taken by the staff, and that they were paid less than 50% of their salaries as take-home for the year 2021.
Yes, this is a requirement from the Audit and Finance and Accounting Manual. No employee can take a new personal loan whilst having an existing one. The loan deduction cannot exceed 50% of employees' net salary per month. Where this is the case, fresh application for any loan from such an employee shall be disallowed. Finally, we noted that some staff were paid less than 50% of their salary as take-home for the year 2021. You even have staff
that did not go home with anything. I was about to say
exactly.
Your
yes.
implication is so light.
So the implication, this is in contrast with the above regulation, which might lead to staff misusing the area council's fund. That's the implication, because you deduct somebody and he is not paid salary.
Yes. I mean, there are 9 staff that are not paid at all.
Yeah. Yes. What do you expect? And the person is collecting revenue. If that person goes home with that revenue, it's not his fault. So, but this is a regulation. Even no matter the amount you are paid, you cannot even be deducted more than 50% of your salary, of your take home. So these are serious issues because it encourages misappropriation of funds. Yeah. And then the council, they responded to say, we admit the payroll deduction are incorrect. We will endeavor to rectify this matter.
Okay. Chairperson, I don't know whether this is an appropriate point to break or should we proceed?
Yes, I think it's time for lunch, so we will break and come back by 2:15. This is 1 o'clock. What is? Yes, we would break now and come back by 2:15.
Very well.